Hello, here we are again, friends, and welcome to the Archery Shack. We got about 2 weeks in South Carolina here before hunting season starts, or before bow hunting season starts. So I got in here early. I'm gonna work on some bows. TJ will be here in a little while. We'll still keep working on some bows, and we'll see what happens. You never know what happens in the shack. We got a elite set I need to serve. I got a Z7 set I need to serve, and then I'm going to rebuild the Z7 and swap cams on it. It's right here. We also, Sam Marcingill, some of y'all that local know him. If you're not local, you don't know him, but he got diagnosed with cancer. Not good, esophageal cancer. He's already started chemo and all this. He's not able to draw his bow. He's wanting to sell some of his archery stuff to go toward buying a Raven. So he brought by his Chill, and he brought by a Youth Darton bow, a Jackal, a Last Chance Apple style bow vise, and some trinkets. I will be, maybe by the end of the video, I can in depth more show you what all he's selling and everything. But I'm gonna try to get this sold for him and help him get a Raven before hunting season. That way he can still hunt. And I think the chemo is putting a little bit of a hurting on him. My camera died on me, sorry. At the end of the video, I'll put all the prices and the stuff Sam has here for sale, and we'll see what we can do to help him out to get him a Raven very quickly so he can still hunt this year. Can I rant for a minute? I need to rant for a minute because I just was sitting here thinking while I was working on this bowstring. It kills me the amount of people that will leave a bow here forever. We got 3 bows that have been here for a year plus. And we got a big sign on the wall. We got a thing on our little work order form when people leave bows that say, hey, you know, I'll just show it to you real quick. Basically, it says, we're going to fix your bow. And if you leave it over 60 days, you know, we're going to sell it. I never do that, ever. The very few I've ever sold were left well over a year before I sold them. And I have, you know, I'll call and I'll text and I'll leave voicemails and we'll do all this stuff. But it's stupid. I mean, there's 3 bows here. I think all of them were restrung and had a few other things done to them. But if you owe $100 to $200 on a bow, but the bow's worth $300, $400, $500, $600, at least come pick it up and sell it or something. But you know, and it just kills me. And the way I try to put it to people is, imagine you was at your job and they randomly one week said, you know what, we're going to hold off on paying you $200, and a year later you still asking them, hey, when am I going to get that $200 from that paycheck you missed? This is basically like our paycheck. I got to pay people that help me. I got to pay bills, power bills, internet, phone, all that stuff here. And every time I start feeling sorry, like, man, I don't want to sell this guy's bow. That's what I think about. You know what I mean? It comes down to, we got to keep the lights on in this place. Sometimes that's harder than others. So I think I'm going to give these 3 people one final call today. And if they ain't picked it up by next week, I'm going to sell them. And I've only had one instance where that turned into a mess. Let me let this loud air conditioner turn off and I'll tell you that story, but get y'all's take on it. I'll just start telling the story. The air's still running, but you probably can't hear it too bad in here. It was about 10 years ago, so I've told this, people have heard this story, and I don't think I've ever told it on here, but I had a fella that was working locally from somewhere up north, electrician fella, and he started coming around the shop and all that. He had a Hoyt and he had a Bowtech, basically a brand new Hoyt and a couple-year-old Bowtech. Well, anyway, long story short, he wanted to get both of them restrung. I've still got the paperwork somewhere, but he wanted to get both of them restrung and some random accessories. I want to say there was like an air arrest ordered, all this stuff. And he also wanted some fire knock, lighted knocks at the time. And he wanted something else from Fire Knock. I don't remember if it was the titanium bolt kit. I think that's what it was. And he also was interested in having Fire Knock refletch his arrows with those fancy vanes they got, because I guess you can ship them, or at the time you could ship them your arrows and they would fletch them. So I tell the guy, like, I'm not set up with Fire Knock. I can reach out to him or whatever, and this, that, and other. He says, don't worry about it. He says, I have dealt with them before. You know, basically, I'll deal with the Fire Knock stuff if you'll restring the bows. And I think he bought a QAD rest and some stuff. Anyway, maybe some more arrows. I can't remember. So fast forward a few days to a week, I get a box from Fire Knock in the mail. And it's this titanium kit. It's some Fire Knocks. And I want to say it was some arrows that guy had shipped to him for them to fletch with that arrow vane mess and all that stuff. So anyway, no big deal. Fast forward a few days, well, I get a bill in the mail from Fire Knock. And I'm like, hold up. What is this about? And it's addressed to the Archery Shack. So I call Fire Knock, talk to George, super nice fella if you don't know him. But he's like, well, y'all ordered all this stuff. And I was like, we didn't order anything, buddy. And this customer had called Fire Knock and basically pretended to be an employee at the Archery Shack, ordered all this stuff, and then sent the bill to me. That pissed me off pretty good, as it should. But it still wasn't the end of the world, you know what I mean? So basically, this guy just needs to pay for his stuff and we'll go about our day. Well, this is this exact time of the year, I think it was about 2015, Labor Day weekend. I was going to close for Labor Day that Monday, and this guy starts blowing me up. He wants to come pick them bows up. He's off work, and I'm talking, he's just one after another, ding, 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 ding. And I said, tell you what, buddy, I got stuff. We're doing stuff, but if you'll meet me at the archery shop at, at 2 o'clock or whatever, we'll get it done. So he comes out here at 2 o'clock. He's got the 2 bows. He owes me for both the bows, the rest, the Fire Knock bill, all this stuff. And I think the total ended up being like $700 or $800. Like I said, I got the paperwork somewhere in the office. I had to go find it, but it's not that big a deal. So he shows up, and I'm not super pushing him to rush, but at the same time, this guy knows, like, we got plans, family stuff going on. I need you to pick these bows up, and I got to go. So he spends about an hour wanting to shoot it through paper and tinker with this and tinker with that and blah, 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 blah. I'll spend all this time with him. I'm super nice to him. You ain't gonna believe what happens next. This son of a bitch proceeds to tell me after all this, all right, so he's called Fire Knock, pretended to work here. They've sent me a bill. And that's bull. I mean, like, he told me he had dealt with Fire Knock before personally, so I just assumed he's going to order whatever from Fire Knock. He'll pay for it with his card and, go on about his day. Well, after I called Fire Knock and told him all this, it's like, well, what do we do now? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna get him to call you and straighten this out because this has nothing to do with me. Well, then I guess 30 days later or whatever it was at this point, they're mailing me a late bill reminder or whatever. And I'm like, so I pay it. And whether I should have or not, I don't know, but I'm not trying to get in no mess with them saying I owe them money, but this is something I don't have anything to do with, all right? So after I didn't come out here on Labor Day, spent over an hour with this guy, he's tinkered and this, that, and the other, he says, and he's talked himself up as some big master electrician that's down here from the north on some big project and all this, blah, blah, blah. He don't have the money to pick up everything. Because I don't remember what the bill was, but I think it was $700 or $800. He had 2 bows restrung, a rest, all this crap from Fire Knock. So I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And I told him, I'm like, I've done paid this Fire Knock bill. You know, we've done all this work. I've met you out here on a day we're not even open, and you don't have the money to pick them up. So he has the money. It was like half the money, and wants to, and this is where I probably messed up. He had like half the money and said, can I give you half the money and I'll take the Hoyt with me, and then I'll bring you the rest of the money in a week or two. And I was like, okay. So we do that, and he takes the Hoyt, and a week or two pass. I give him a call. At this point, I'm like, this hasn't got too deep. So I start documenting on my work order paper for him what days I'd called, what days I'd texted. Did he respond? Did he not respond? Like, we go down this whole rabbit hole of stuff. So this goes on for 6 to 8 months. And it's just like everything else in this shop. I'll forget about it, but then I'll think about it and I'll get pissed off, just like I did with these 3 bows that's been here for a year. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I call him a year later, and I've got it documented. I've been called him, 12 times. There's been texts. There's been all this stuff, and every time he's like, "I'll be there in a week or two to pay it off. I'll be there in a week or two to pay it off." So I done made my final. I was done with it. You know what I mean? And so I called him. I said, "Hey, buddy, here's the deal. This is it." And, I've been fairly nice up to this point. I said, but this is it. Like, it's been a year. Basically you did all this stuff to screw me over, and you still ain't picked this bow up. Still had a bow tech. So I said, I'm going to give you 1 week. And that's more than I should. But I said, 1 week from today, I'm selling that bow. He's like, man, I'll be up there in a day or two. Get it. I'm sorry, whatever. I was like, okay. I wait 3 more weeks. And a guy comes in, perfect candidate for this bow because it was an adjustable bow. I mean, basically it had brand new strings and all this stuff on it. And I sell it to him. And I sell it to him and basically just pay off the rest of this bill the guy owes me. I didn't make no money on it. I just paid off the guy's bill. And basically what the guy owed me is about what this bow was worth. So it was a done deal, right? Wrong. So I'm going to say another 2 months down the road or so, this guy calls me. I'm off today. I'm gonna come pick that Bowtech up. And I just bluntly told him, ain't no need in coming back here. I said, that thing's been sold. And he goes, what? You gotta effing be kidding me, blah, blah. So at this point, we're like 14 months after this thing's been dropped off and fixed. He cusses me out. He hangs the phone up. Well, I'm just the type of fella, I ain't gonna play that game. I will hunt you down. I ain't even gonna say what I wanted to say, but it ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? This ain't gonna fly. So anyway, I call him back. He picks up. And I said, first of all, we need to chat for a minute. I was like, and I told him this whole thing. I said, you dropped these bows off well over a year ago. You screwed me on this Fire Knock deal that I don't even know obviously he's the one to blame. And then I don't know how Fire Knock exactly didn't take any paperwork, and suddenly I'm getting bills for this stuff that some random customers ordered and it's through the, anyway, all that's went down. You've left $400 or $500 of bow sitting here not paid for over a year. I've called you. I don't remember, I had the paper in front of me. I've called you and we've talked 7 times. I've left 14 voicemails and there's been 13 texts. You've never showed up. I told you on this day you had 1 week until we sold this thing. And I said, I did exactly that. I said, I actually waited 3 weeks and sold that thing. I was like, so don't worry about coming to pick it up. He proceeds to start cussing and hollering and all this. And he tells me he's going to come over here and whoop my ass. And I said, I'm going to be honest. You better bring a gun. I said, because I am going to beat the teetotal shit out of you if you show up here thinking you're going to beat my ass. And I've never heard from that guy again. But that is the type of stuff that we get into in an archery shop. I know it's not every customer. I know it's not, but there's several a year. And what triggered me thinking about that was, here's 3 bows that's been here for a year, and inside I feel the lowest of low when if I sell these bows. And whether the people will come back ever to get them or call about them, I don't know. There's already been multiple calls and voicemails left for all of them. Matter of fact, all 3 of them were called about 3 weeks ago. One guy never responded back. 2 of them said they would be here that week to get them. And here we are several weeks later, and in the grand scheme of things, it's BS. You know what I mean? Same thing with all those bows last year. People came in, semi-regulars, most of them. Man, I'd really like to get that new prime bow. Is there any way you could do a payment plan on it? Or is there any way we could do this, that, or the other? Yeah, we'll see if we can work something out. And how many of those people, how many thousands and thousands of dollars did I get screwed on because we tried to help a few people out, or more than a few, and finance these bows? And then, several of them that were super regular customers. One of them I would call a very close friend, used to be, took them bows that we let take because they were in here all the time, never stepped foot back in this place, and left old Jerry Bear to pay thousands and thousands of dollars on these bows that never came in. So all that to say this, I didn't mean to get that deep that quick on this video. I think I got too big of I'm too kind to people. And I flip sometime this year. I'm still nice. But at this point in time, I'm worried about me. You know what I mean? I don't care. And saying that, I think I'm going to list these 3 bows, or I'm going to put them out there for sale right now, because it's crazy. It just blows my mind. The only thing I can equate it to is a mechanic shop where you take your car in to have it serviced, and it costs a couple $1,000s, and then you just leave it and never go get it. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that I can equate any of this to. But sorry, thank you for letting me rant. It is good to get some of this off my chest every now and then, because I love working on bows. I love tuning bows. I love setting bows up for everybody. I hate some of the people that pull this on us. And it's not always, it's a lot of times people that you'll start a relationship with. They can start coming in a lot. You consider them a friend, and then all of a sudden they screw you for $500 or $1,000 or whatever. Or even worse, not worse, it's in the same category. Man, I need, can you order me this, that, or the other? Yeah, man, I'll get it here, be here in a couple of days. And you order them a $800 sight, and it's still sitting over there with dust all over it from 8-9 months ago. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then God forbid you tell somebody, yeah, I can order it. You don't go and pay for it up front. And then they ain't gonna do that, but they're gonna jump on Amazon and buy it. You know what I mean? They ain't gonna help the guy that's spent 2 hours with their kid getting his bow set up for free. You know what I mean? But anyway, rant over. Why archery picked me to do this with part of my life, I don't know. But sometimes, most of the time, all the time, I wish it would have been something else. Let me just add one thing, and I promise I'm done with this talk. This is exactly why, as I've got older and older and older, I've been working on bows for how long now? Right at 30 years now, believe it or not. And you always hear about, oh, them old archery shop owners, they mean as hell and rude and all that. This is why. This is exactly why. When you got 5% or 10% or whatever it turns out to be of your customer base not paying and having you order stuff and never showing up and all this crap, there's a point, there's a cliff you step over, and it's like, screw it. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. So anyway, my talk's over. All right, we got to make some cables here before I get fired. Getting a Raven set served up here. I gotta say, hang on a second. Okay. Of all the crossbows, there's some good crossbow stories I should tell y'all too, but Of all the crossbows, the Ravens are the way to go. We're not even a Raven dealer. I can get them, but I don't stock them. But just, or maybe it's the customer base, because if you buy a Barnett or a $300, $400, $500 or whatever, they come in blowed up, shattered, God knows what. You know, we had the one guy left one in a Barnett Ghost something in his truck cocked in the middle of the summer, 100-degree day. The inside of the truck's probably 200, whatever. And it blew up and blew out his window and the whole 9 yards. But anyway, the Ravens are well made. The only issues we see is customer neglect, where they don't change their strings and cables out and they blow up. And even then, most of the time, the bow survives. But initially I was like, those things are too small, whatever. But the R10, that bow is a solid, it's been around for a while, good crossbow. And that's what I've been telling people that want a decent one to get. You still gonna spend $1,000 or more, I know, but, and a Raven's not really meant to just go out in the yard and shoot, unless you're gonna be changing strings and cables a lot. You know, you get a couple hundred shots, you're doing good. But it's because they're so compact and so crazy. But anyway, all that to say, that's what I'm making this string for, is an R10. And here's an example of somebody that didn't change out their cables when they needed to. It's an R20, blowed all to hell. And what happens when they blow up is those little limb pads that go under the limbs, they fall off and people don't find them. And Raven now will not sell you or me just those little limb bevel pads. You got to buy a whole set of limbs. And whether that's stupid or not, it's probably smart on their part, because everybody and their brother would be ordering a 50-cent part, and because they're too stupid to change out their strings and cables. But all that to say, if you're really serious about the crossbow stuff, the Raven stuff's the way to go. At 10 points, not bad. We've seen more random issues with 10 points than Ravens, so I'll say that, you know. And I think 10 points like 100% American made. Raven's not, from my understanding, but either way, that's my 2 cents on the high-end crossbows. Over and out. I got out here about 2 hours early today because a guy had texted me and said, is there any way he could drop a bow off early? Because he had something to do or whatever. And I said, I'll tell you what, I got to work on some stuff. I'll go out there 2 hours early and meet you so you can drop it off. He just texted me 2 hours after he's supposed to be here. He ain't gonna make it. What I got to say to him is, go. We just took in this butte. Kapow. Dry fire. And this butte. We got about, really probably next week, we'll be under the 2-week mark of bow season starting. And that's when they're gonna start coming out of the woodworks. Blowed up crossbows, blowed up bows. 2 days before the season, somebody pulled their bow out of the closet and the dog has chewed up the string, or a rat, or God knows what. So y'all might have some good stories coming up. I'm gonna take a little lunch break here, and then TJ should be here, and me and TJ will continue to work on some bows. As promised, y'all been wanting to see him. The red beard is here.
I am.
We had a fella I done been ranting on him this morning, T-Bob. He texted this morning, said it'd be 2 or 3 weeks till he could come get his bow. He's going to get some money together. And he just texted about 10 minutes ago, wanting to know, could he come get it now? He's got some money together. And what do y'all know about this Bowtech Truth Archery mess lawsuit deal? You know, Bowtech got sued by what, Matthews?
A few years ago,
and
yeah.
Matthews won. Now Bowtech's going after these people. We seen a podcast pop up about it. We don't really know. I guess Bowtech's suing because of the way the cams move.
I don't know. It's just, to me, it looks like it's a hybrid system between the Bowtech and the Matthews system. But I hadn't.
Has anybody shot one of the Truth archery bows? It was something that came across our radar as something we might ought to tinker with, but we hadn't.
Yeah, we hadn't yet.
I don't know. Maybe we should.
Like you say, it's
We still
probably
ain't found it.
probably an Ivy. I never heard it hit concrete. I just heard it hit the box, that top of this
shit.
box, and I thought that's where she went.
In case y'all was wondering, we still ain't found the slide. Y'all should be relieved. TJ found it. We got on our hands and knees, went up under there. It bounced over into another box somehow. I think what we need in this shop, I've always said this, is that each work area, you know, them weather tech or whatever mats that's got the lip on it you put in the truck, and you can dump like a 3 liter in there and it won't spill. If we had one of them at like each bow press station, then when we drop parts, it would at least hopefully not bounce out of there, but it probably would.
I say we just get some white paint, the brightest white paint we got, and paint the floor.
Maybe. We talked about that speckled, whatever that stuff is, you can paint down. I had that one guy that we talked about earlier. He did somebody's garage in that, and I asked him how much it cost to do the showroom in there, and he quoted like $2,000 or something, and I told him to get the hell out of here. Let me show you all this because I mentioned it earlier and I forgot. But Sam, that I talked about in the first video, he's got a chill. He's selling for $600. It is a, I don't know what draw length it is. He's a little short feller. 27, I think, or no, I might be wrong. Because when he told me the draw length, I thought that's about 2 inches too long for your short ass. I think it's 28 and a half. For 600. Now I can't get it to hang back up here. He's got a Barnett Jackal. You remember how much he wanted for that Jackal?
Hang on, I tell you.
TJ's looking it up. We can't remember. And we ain't marking none of this up. We're just trying to get him a few bucks to get him a Raven so he can hunt. He's got a Jackal. He's got a Darton kids bow here. Ranger 3. I don't know nothing about that.
Let's see. He is wanting 125 on the Jackal, 125 on the Darton.
What about the Vice?
$100 on the Vice.
He's got that Vice. And I think all this comes with a Matthews. He's got extra mods of all flavor. If anybody's interested, he's got extra string. Anybody's interested in any of that, shoot us a message or give us a holler. It looks like he's got a CBE sight on there. Hamsky rest, other than a little bit of wear and tear rust going on. It comes with the whole shebang.
Shoot, it'd be best to send us an email.
Yeah, archershack@gmail.com, and we can either put you in contact with him or figure out whatever we need to do. But if y'all need any of that, just holler. All right, I got the strings made and put on this Z7. I'm gonna set it up real quick. I got a picture I need to show y'all. As a bow I set up on one of these videos the other week, a fella had ordered all his stuff off Amazon to put on there. He ordered some string silencers. He ordered some loop. Matter of fact, I think this is it right here. He ordered off Amazon. The end of the loop, I've never had this happen to my knowledge. The burnt part of it broke off and he busted himself in the mouth, but this was after. I'm glad it was him and not me, because I shot it 5-10 times. When he picked it up, he shot it 5 or 10 times, and then he sent me a picture of him with a bloody mouth. So viewer discretion is advised when I flash his picture up, but he busted himself right in the old snout and mouth. And wasn't that laying here, TJ? That wherever that, I done lost it. It ain't that big a deal, but it was just like the burnt end of that thing.
I seen it.
There it is. Is that it? Just broke off.
Yep.
You probably can't see that, but it's like it just broke off of the end of it. It's some wild stuff. So that brings us to our next lesson of the day. If you order some stuff off Amazon, you get what you pay for. T-Bob got a left-handed Hoyt, what is this, a Maxxis or something?
Maxxis 31.
Maxxis 31.
I ain't seen one of these in a while.
I know it. Seems like yesterday that was
the bow.
The bow, and now it's been 12 or 15 years later, just like this one right here. We done got a good many bows and crossbows every year. It seems like a few more crossbows come through, which does not excite us in one bit. But
negative.
I just don't know. What do you do? What do you do? I told him earlier, before you got here, that if I had to shoot a crossbow, it'd be a Raven R10. And even though we were spooked quite a bit by the Ravens when they first come out, that R10 seems to be pretty solid. Even though the people that's blowed them up, they don't really, like the limbs are okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, we had a guy that bought, we ordered it for him, one of them R500s, one of them fancy $3,000 something ones. And he left it cocked in his closet or something for 2 months. And that particular Raven has a worm gear that cocks it. And I don't know if it messed the threads up, but you couldn't uncock it. Well, even with the Raven press,
it was still
the fingers wouldn't go in far enough, because cock that thing ain't but whatever it is, 5 inches or whatever. So I was like, your only option is to wrap that thing in a bomb-proof blanket and box it up and send it to Raven, you know, call warranty, tell them, you know, whatever's going on. And I warned him before he ordered that thing, this thing's brand new. We ordered it through a distributor, not directly from Raven. You doing this at your own risk. But they fixed it for him. But if that thing would have turned loose in the back of the UPS truck, somebody would have died.
Boom! I mean, you remember the other year we had a R26 shipped in from Hawaii that we were restringing and everything, and the cable cut loose in the box.
Yep, and the cam or something was stuck out the side of the box.
Yeah.
It ain't no joke. People joke about it and all that, but until you see multiple bows and crossbows blow up, they can, I mean, what's his name? Had a Barnett blow up in his truck and it busted his window out. I mean, it ain't no joke. It is not a joke.
No,
people don't realize the force behind these things. Oh, Maxxis. You gonna shoot it left-handed?
Lord, no. I mean, I could probably get it drawn back, but I don't know. Can't see what the timing looks like.
Ain't bad. Not bad at all.
Right on the money.
Well, y'all, I guess we'll say bye. Y'all have a good Labor Day weekend.
Yep, y'all too.
Glad y'all got to see the T-Bob. And we got about 2 weeks till hunting season starts up, so we'll have plenty more videos. Me and TJ will sit down this week and do a podcast. I know people's mentioned it.
Yeah.
Maybe middle of the week we'll sit down and do one and then talk about some crazy stories or whatever. And then we'll have plenty of eventful videos in the next few weeks. So y'all stay tuned for that.
Yep.
Thank y'all for watching. We'll see y'all next time.
See y'all.